Hello, Internet. I'm Hypar here with EQLmedia.ca. We are outside the Axis Club Theater in Little Italy, Toronto on College Street with 2/3 of post-vaporwave electronic music trio, dds.wmv Shroud. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
So, over here we have James Webster and Tech Honors. So, how's Toronto been treating you guys?
We love Toronto. The last time we were here, we were on tour with Small Black. And before the show, Tech and I actually went up to the rotating restaurant in the CN Tower.
The food was mid.
The food was mid, but the wine was all right.
But you could be seeing the whole city, which is probably why they call it the CN Tower.
It's true. It's true. I think that's why they call it that. Yeah, the food there is... It's nothing to write home about, but it's a good time.
I had a wedge salad, and it was iceberg. So it's that kind of establishment.
But not to put the city on blast for that, it's really, the fans in Toronto are super awesome. It's always a super lively crowd. So.
So how's just the tour in general been so far?
It's been pretty grueling, pretty intense. We've only had a few days off, but I don't know, eventually you kind of get into sort of like a loop, a gameplay loop, if you will, where it's just like, all right, we have to wake up early, sit in a car, and then get there in the afternoon, unload all the shit, everyone else sound checks, then we sound check, set up our shit, and then the show starts, we get to play, then we're done first on this tour, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah, I think this is like the 20th show in like 22 or 23 days or something like that. Something like that. I don't know. It's a lot. It's pretty grueling is the right word.
Moving on from that, with a lot of, you guys obviously got your start in the vaporwave scene, internet music. A lot of that music, as we've seen, has been kind of making the move into real life with obviously tours like this, things like Electronicon, the tape swap, big events like that. So how has that transition from a mainly online genre into reality been for you guys?
Well, I would say that it's actually been kind of natural for us because we had our start before all that in just like rock bands together. So it's been kind of like a slow transition back to what we like doing best, which is being on stage with the guitar and singing and just like rocking, so basically.
Just progressively been just shifting from a laptop-driven set to more rock elements, I guess.
Gotcha. And it sounds great. Like the solos in there, all of the work you guys performance during that set was amazing. Okay. So onto the music. You guys, obviously, your career, at least even just as dds.wmv Shroud, it's huge. You guys have a huge body of work, almost a decade now, if not more. Yeah. So from your earlier work starting off as like more Echo Jam styled mixtapes to like the grand experience that is Dark Life. How did we get here? Like, can you explain the evolution?
Well, like I said before, it was a lot of sort of going back to what we had done before all the vaporwave stuff. So, like, I mean, songs on Dark Life, Neon Memories, E102, like, those were songs that we had written...
2012?
Yeah, like 2012, before we even kind of knew about vaporwave, and are sort of more rooted in our, like, traditional songwriting, like, styles.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's also partially you get bored doing the same thing over and over again. So then it's like, well, what can we try now? Like what? I don't know. Like the mixtape club, there's all kinds of weird experiments in there, I think. So I feel like it was natural for us to just kind of move away from purely sample-based stuff into more conventional songwriting, composition, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel you. And the mixtape club is kind of good for like testing the waters and stuff like that from what I've seen.
Experimenting,
Yeah, definitely. Like Tech's album Midnight Tangerine, which is been rebuilt and that's coming out in November. That was just a big exercise in like traditional songwriting, basically. And I had an album in there called Blue Ocean that was just like straight up like classic rock.
Yeah.
Basically just drums, guitar, bass, just like very much George Harrison, ELO kind of style. So we really like just doing all kinds of different things. We're very grateful to like vaporwave and the whole online scene that really lifted us to this point in our career where we can now really experiment and kind of in some ways do whatever we want but everyone in the vaporwave scene is so open-minded because they kind of just like get down on whatever, as long as it's good, and if it's this dynamic shroud, it ought to be.
And building off of that, so you guys have decided to kind of come back to and refine and re-release 3 mixtapes previously available on the New World Mixtape Club, Midnight Tangerine, Keys to the Gate, and Transcendence Pod. What drove you guys to choose those ones as the ones that you want to bring out to a wider audience to come back and kind of refine a little bit more?
I think it was just because they were the best ones. Like we were talking about it, and it was like, we weren't able to get into the studio to record a follow-up to Dark Life yet, and we had these 3 albums that were unavailable to the general public, and so we were like,
dope.
Yeah, we were like, these are pretty good. So I think we just wanted to work them a little bit, spend a little more time with them, because it's a mixtape club. You only get so much time to work on something. Mm-hmm. So we just fleshed them out a little bit more, and then now we'll have them see a wider release to everybody, and it's
yeah, and the members of the mixtape club have been super understanding and chill about it all, because like as it stands now, if you joined the mixtape club today, you get like 35 albums. It's like an insane amount.
What a bargain!
What a that's like a penny an album or something.
It's a pretty good deal.
So, especially once like Faith and Persona kind of escaped the club a little bit with the Fantana review and stuff, it's with all of this content there, I think it's cool to go back and just sort of like take a breath, look at all of this stuff that we've created and pick a few to be like, let's sort of finish these and sort of show them publicly.
It's like demoing, but you are semi-public with the demos, and you're just demoing all the time, and then being like, oh, okay, yeah, these are what we want to work with or whatever.
Yeah, that kind of answered another question I was going to ask, which is, with internet music being the way that it is, with a lot of Bandcamp albums and things like that, people returning to them with updated versions of new tracks and edits made here and there. How do you feel about like the kind of existence of music projects as a perpetually evolving demo? And I think you guys have.
Well, so we do like that, but we're also a little traditionalist at the same time, because we just love making concept albums. So there have been a few times where it's like we dropped a mixtape and it's like, I really wish that one track was like, the mastering is messed up. I wish it was a little bit louder. And we've gone in and done like little tweaks like that, but generally speaking, it's like also a great relief when it's done. You put it out, everyone's heard it, and it's like, all right, on to the next idea, the next project,
Back onto the mixtape club, the New World Clubhouse, a Discord server. One of the things I've seen from there the most, and from the greater vaporwave scene, online music scene, is just a very huge sense of community, especially when it comes to new music, people making things. So what are some up-and-comers that you'd like to see more from, or people in the scene, in the server, that have interested you?
In the server?
Or in the greater scene, whatever you've seen, up-and-comers.
Well, so one of our mods runs Skyline Tapes, and they've been doing a lot of work with other Shroudies that are also in the server, and other sort of new vaporwave artists and stuff. Like, they're really chill.
Yeah, shout out Scarlett Lemieux as well.
Yeah.
I think
if she keeps grinding and keeps going, like, she's going to be like
her songwriting chops are really good for her age.
Yeah, for real.
So, yeah,
I've heard a lot of this. I've heard her latest project actually with Serenade Systems Incorporated, who was at the show, which is on First Class Collective if you'd like to take a listen. But yeah, just a lot of great talent coming out of the scene. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
it's really cool for us, because most of our fans are a lot younger than us, but it's cool to see people that are just really, really curious about different kinds of music and just really open-minded about, rap is the best. I mean,
it's pretty cool.
That's legit. I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah. It's the voice of the people.
It's the best.
Yeah. So there you go. You heard it here first.
Yeah. Back onto your music. From a personal perspective, a lot of your guys' sounds have a certain grandiosity to them, and almost like a conceptual narrative to a lot of your projects. I know you guys like concept albums, but a lot of it feels like almost theatrical. Is that something you just kind of end up with some of these projects, or is that like an idea that you come up with from the start?
I mean, both to some degree. I think like all three of us like have like a penchant for like making things a lot more bombastic and grandiose is the right word, I think. And so I don't know, it's like our influences are really, you know, when I grew up listening to like Meatloaf and Celine Dion, and then like later I got into Muse when I was like just out of high school and stuff, and they all kind of have like this, you know, big epic component to them. And so I don't know, maybe at best like we try to achieve that sort of hugeness, but without so much of the schmaltz, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've always been into very big ideas and very big sounds because that's what moved us the most. Like when we were teenagers getting into music, I mean, like we loved Radiohead, was like our really just like big thing when we were in high school. And then later Muse, like I know they're like super cheesy now, but like straight up albums 2 and 3 and even some of 4 are like super, super dope. And I mean, I remember seeing Muse in like the 2000s at some point, and Tech and I were kind of standing back and they were playing Apocalypse Please, and we looked out and it was all these kids like pumping their fists in the air to like, this is the end of the world. It was like, oh, this is so like it's so uplifting to think that people are into this, because that's like what we want to do, you know. We just want to raise the earth. Yeah.
If tonight's show is anything to say about it, I'd say you're succeeding.
You know, give us another 30 minutes and we would destroy the whole city, you know?
Yeah.
So, obviously, we couldn't come and do this interview empty-handed, so we do have some gifts to give to you.
Oh wow,
so,
that's fun.
Just gonna grab those. So, got some cassettes. The first of which is this vintage Beatles mixtape I found in a pawn shop a couple years ago. But yeah, it's got like custom art made by whoever owned it. It's got like a typewritten track listing in there.
This is really cool.
Yeah, there was 2 of them there. I gave one to a friend of mine, but this one I like the tracks on this one a bit more.
Yeah, it's got all the hits.
Yeah.
And it says happiness is a warm
Larry,
gun.
all the best, John Yoko 88.
Wow, this is sick. Yeah, happiness is warm. That's my favorite Beatles song right there. If you ever wondered. Wow, thank you so much. This is beautiful.
Yeah, no problem, of course. And Tech, for you, we have a copy of Enigma's second album, Cross of Changes.
I literally had this on cassette tape when I was a kid.
Well, now you got it again.
And then my mom got it on CD, and then I just listened to it on CD. But it's really good though.
Yeah, I know you guys both have a history with each of these artists, so that's kind of the next thing I wanted to work into is, from things like the Beatles and Brit rock to 90s new age and things like that. You guys obviously have a huge range of musical tastes. So what would you say, just overall, are your biggest musical influences?
Rap is the best.
Rap is the best, like for real. I mean, the Beatles for me were extremely foundational. Like the way that they would write chord progressions, arrange songs, the way that John and Paul's ideas were smashed together to make these world building, big, sprawling, epic world building, and also a lot of prog rock. I loved Yes, for example, and just the like non-traditional songwriting, and Roger Waters. Roger Waters solo albums are completely insane, and anyone who likes them should come talk to me, because I don't think there's a lot of people that do, but that's like probably the most unique thing in my core.
Come talk to James.
I think probably like 9 Inch Nails is probably just by, I don't know, textures and layering. Blur is also a huge influence for like similar reasons, just like really ornate layering and interesting chord progressions and melody.
Yeah. 9 Inch Nails is a personal favorite, especially in terms of texture. I feel like there's very few who do it better than good old Trent.
It's mood. That was what always separated 9 Inch Nails from like other peers, maybe of like alternative rock, alternative metal, industrial. It was just that some artists would know how to be scary, or some artists would know how to be like aggro or whatever. But it felt like Nine Inch Nails was always good at like capturing mood in it. And now, you know, Trent's making like soundtracks for movies and stuff, and it's like it plays right into it. So, yeah.
And we love the Strobes, you know, the Nine Inch Nails show.
I thought you were gonna say the Strokes.
I also thought you were going to say the Strokes.
The Strokes rule, man. Those first two albums, oh my God. But that, you know, I don't know how much that charged.
Yeah, so moving on from influences, obviously being, you know, vaporwave pioneers in a way, as much as I'm sure you're tired of hearing it.
All right. I mean, yeah.
You guys are obviously no strangers to sampled material, especially, you know, there's a few Enigma samples on some past projects, I know that. What would you say is the oddest thing that either of you have sampled on a project or on a song?
I like to sample a lot of soap operas, which is something that's just been handed down through my family. But I find that these people that get hired to compose these scores for, like, you know, it's like an episode every day, like all year long. So there's just so much content that they're putting out, but every now and then you can just tell when they're going ham and just putting all of themselves like into a composition. So yeah, probably soap operas as just like a real kind of trashy thing that produces a lot of beautiful samples.
Yeah, I noticed that on like I'll Try Living Like This, the CSI samples that are in there a lot.
Yeah. And Dark Life, I mean, look out for them. There's soap opera samples on there for sure.
Keep an eye out, everyone on Who Sampled. Listen up.
Yeah, you only have to watch 8,000 episodes to find the one that you're looking for.
A small price to pay.
I mean, I truly don't have an answer. I don't really think about. I guess I don't really think about it as being like weird. They're just.
Well, you were a pioneer with taking contemporary pop music and putting it in.
I'm not a pioneer. I did that. MJ Lincoln did that.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
I honestly, I don't really have a real answer for that. I'm sorry.
That's fair enough. Maybe there's things that maybe some people think are weird, but in the end, it sounds good. Like I've said earlier, you guys got a huge body of work. You guys have come a crazy long way from, you know, messing around with video game soundtracks on a 4-track recorder to where you are now, the current level that you're on. What is next for Dynamic Shroud?
Well, we have 3 albums coming out in November, so please buy those and look forward to that. And we have all these singles on Spotify right now. Feel free to stream those. We've come out with a lot of music this year. But there will be a follow-up to Dark Life, but you know, we're probably not going to be able to really dig into that until next year, because this tour is taking us through the end of October, and then we are going to Japan, and we're doing a tour over there, and then we're coming back, and then
visiting family for the holidays,
and then I'm going to play Starfield. Finally, I've been waiting this whole time just for that. So
yeah, I think rock is back, and we're gonna lead the charge.
I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, yeah, come. I mean, if, like this tour in particular, it's a rock show from beginning to end. We're kind of Nine Inch Nails-y with our strobes and our, you know, electronic beats, but the other 2 acts both have live drummers, and it really just rocks from beginning to end. So I don't know. I think as maybe younger vaporwave fans have gotten older, maybe they're just ready to rock now, and hopefully they're here for it. Yeah.
I sure hope so, because I hope to hear whatever you guys make next. And now, one final question. Being where we are here in Toronto and knowing a bit of the history you have with this artist, I have to ask you guys, what is your favorite Drake song?
I don't have an answer for that question. I'm not a Drake fan. I'm sorry.
That is completely fair.
I'll wait until this passes, and then I'll say it right as it passes.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know, the Just Hold On, We're Going Home, that song.
It's a good track.
That's probably, it's very possibly the only Drake song that I like.
If there's one Drake song to like, that's probably the one.
It's good. I like
Is Drake like the only artist who's ever come from here? Like, he's like, everyone talks about Drake. Like, surely in the history of Toronto, there have been
He's like the only one that anyone talks about anymore.
There's Rush. Well, I'm more of a yes guy, so yeah.
Well, that wraps up our interview tonight with Tech and James of Death's Dynamic Shroud here outside the Axis Club in Toronto. Stay tuned for the rest of the tour. They're going to be in Quebec tomorrow night. That'll probably be outdated information by the time this interview goes up. But thank you very much for chatting with us, guys, and we hope you have a great rest of your tour.
Thanks. Yeah, and let's go catch the rest of George's set.
Exactly. Let's go catch George Clanton. Right on.